Hello and welcome to another Game Nexus video. Today is going to be a bit of a different video. I just wanted to announce that I did a bit of a big update on my website over the past couple days, with the 21st being the day that I released the update. I don't know if you can see the update right here. And then yesterday, the 22nd, I released a bit of a quick fix, if you would, because you work on this stuff, and then when you go back and look at all the what's going on, you notice, oh, this doesn't look right, that isn't spelled right, this isn't right. So then I went back and fixed anything I could, and yeah, at this point the update is looking pretty good. But the major takeaway here is the 3D printing section is the big major section that is now live. 127 3D printed items that I have made and painted are now live, and you can view pictures of everything. Like, for instance, here's the Ninja Turtle figures that I have made. I have made 45 of them, and what I have is the website here is broken into categories: Ninja Turtles, Spaceballs, because there are fan-made Spaceballs figures. I have 8 of them currently finished, and a couple more that are still in progress, slowly but surely. A few Star Wars figures, I have about 8 of them, and of course some of them that are still in progress as well. Then some Ghostbusters figures. I have 7 Ghostbusters figures, which is the 4 Ghostbusters plus Janine, and then 2 Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, 1 big one, 1 small one. Then of course I have a few He-Man figures, my small Teela and Evelyn. We have Skeletor, He-Man, which are done in like the reaction style. And then there's a big version of Teela and Evelyn, which you may have seen on the channel in various videos. Rattler, and then the Sorceress, who are just 5-inch figures. And of course, I have a whole section on just video game characters, which currently there are 21 in that gallery. And then our next category here is TV and movie characters, a total of 23 characters here. And then the miscellaneous characters like the Kid Vid from Burger King, Jollibee, Grimace, Ronald McDonald, Barack Obama, and Santa Claus that kind of didn't fit in any other categories. And then, of course, there is the full list of a whole 127 listed alphabetically. Just the larger ones, which are in other categories as well, which currently we have 9, more in progress, of course. And then the last section here is a section just showing some work in progress pictures. So here's some of that big Ryu figure I was working on for quite a while, showing how I just took the head off of the printer plate. It was still printing one of the pieces here, but I will be updating this work in progress page with a lot more pictures I have, because I was kind of one of the kind of people who would take pictures and send to friends and family members as I was working on a lot of this stuff. So there are a lot of work in progress pictures, so this page is going to be really big at some point. But other than just the 3D print gallery, I have some various information on the 3D printers that I use. A little bit on how I post-process the prints. This is actually the, I believe this is the Mondo Gecko figure before it was taken off the printer plate with all its support material, the filler material, something about painting and clear coating. But that's kind of the huge update of this update, if you will. And if we click here on the top back to main, it'll take us back to the main page. And this is something I've had for years now. I call it the random title generator. It'll have a banner and various GIFs of characters that'll randomly switch every time you load the website. This is the Street Fighter one. The first one you saw was the Duke Nukem one, and if I click on this again, here's Final Fantasy VII. There's the Duke Nukem one again. There's the original banner, which just had the Game Nexus and Duke Nukem Shadow Warrior on both sides. That's just how I had the site for a good while. And then here's Final Fantasy VIII. Let me see. Final Fantasy X. Lunar Silver Star Story is the brand new one that I just had added with this update. Let me see. I don't know if Final Fantasy VII showed up before, but there's Final Fantasy VII. But there are a few, like there's Mortal Kombat, that it's a random JavaScript, so it's not exactly perfect, so it doesn't always display them as randomly as you'd think. Now, the next section I have here is the video game console sections. I have this long page here that kind of describes my history with video games. I'll be updating this periodically when I think of new things, or, how do you call it, I get new video games of significance. All the console sections that used to be on the main bar are now here, including new ones such as Atari 2600 and 7800, which I figured they're similar enough systems, and all the 2600 games are backwards compatible on the 7800, so I'd just lump them into one. And then, of course, the Atari Jaguar page, which I do have a system in like 4 games. But, yeah, it's kind of one of those consoles that's fun to talk about sometimes. And then we have the Philips CDI section. And the one in the middle here, the GPI 1200, is actually the CDI model I have, which at some point I'm going to make a video about, but I've just never gotten to it. Other new sections include the Wii U section, which I had picked one up not too long ago. PlayStation 4 and 5, which is another thing where they're kind of almost the same system in my opinion, because think of the PlayStation 5 as just an upgraded PlayStation 4, so it's not really that huge of a deal in my opinion. I can't see it as, oh, it's definitely a brand new system. It does everything different than the old one. Then, of course, we have a portable systems section, which I only have a picture of the Game Boy on the top, but in the specifications page, I have specs of every portable I own, up to and including the PlayStation Vita, starting with the old original Game Boy. I actually never had a Game Boy Color. I updated the PC section with some added pictures. I think it was just this computer, the Dell, that was there, but I added the E1 by E machines and the Antec 900 case because those were all computers that I had. And then on the PC specs section, I have the specs of the computers I've had over the years, because I figured you really couldn't do a PC spec section because there's no one standard spec for all PCs, so that kind of just details the various computers I've had over the years. And I think that's all the... Oh, also the Sega Master System section is new as well. It was one of those sections that I didn't realize I didn't have a Sega Master System section. And aside from that, there's now my game collection, which I have a full page which features all of the games in my game collection, and I'll be updating this from time to time. These are actually my game shelves that are actually in, like, the room, like, over here, just to my right. But most of the games are on these shelves, that's why I figured I'd show the picture. And yes, that is an empty box of Super Mario cereal. I ate that cereal long ago. There's no reason to keep old cereal in a box. It's not going to be worth something someday, but I guess maybe some collectors might. But on the side here, which all of my 4 major sections have the sidebar changes as well, so it's just easy to navigate. Or, of course, on the collection page, you can just click on the old links. This is just how I had it when I first built this page. But, like, for instance, here's the 3DO collection. I have 19 games for that. And Philips CDI, I only have 1 game, which is Zelda the Wand of Gamelon, because I got a pretty good deal on it. Game Boy, I put all of my Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance on one page, because I didn't have enough of, like, any system to justify pages for each. But as you can see here, like, for instance, Sony PlayStation 315, that's quite a collection here. But yeah, I have that for every collection, including strategy guides, which I have 105 of. You don't realize how many of a certain thing you have until you really have to think about it. But yeah, that's basically the game collection section. And the thing I've done here is if you go into video game sections, let's say you click on Atari 2600, 7800, its collection is actually linked right on the console page, which the NES and the Atari collections are the only ones I did cartridges of, because I don't have any boxes. Well, I have a couple of NES boxes, but not too many. But I figured for the most part, this is basically what my collection looks like for those games. And I tried my best for, especially Atari, to get the label variant that I had as the picture. but you know, there's probably one or two where I didn't do that quite right. But that's basically the general gist of my website update. A couple of smaller updates here, like for instance in the Dead or Alive section here, I updated the cover art to better reflect the current state of the series here. So everything should be up to date with the newest covers going all the way down to Venus Vacation Prism. And then, of course, in the Dead or Alive history, which was my personal retelling of the Dead or Alive games, I've updated that to include all of the latest Dead or Alive games, including Venus Vacation Prism. On the Thrill Kill page here, which isn't that much of a page, I've updated a few of the characters and even added the bosses, the Judas, Kane, Maruka, and then the training dummy guy, the Gimp, just for fun. But yeah, that's kind of the major update here. And another quick little thing here is I posted it a couple days ago. Can you find the link to the Legacy website, as I called it? It's actually just here in staff contact. See the Legacy website, old 2010 version. You click on that, it pops in a new window, and you get to kind of see what the website looked like back in 2010. You'll see all the links are smaller, and it just was a little bit different than it is today. That had been on my web host for like ever, and I figured, why not just link to it? Because people would be like, oh, well, what was the website back in the past? The only other silly little thing here, which was kind of a behind-the-scenes thing, was over here in the Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore costume guide, I included in Kasumi's costume guide here. This is the original like beta version of Kasumi's costume guide, and these were actually taken with my composite capture card, so they didn't look too nice. The new versions, of course, were taken on an emulator, so they were really sharp, but this was before I had that better capture system. And then another quote-unquote beta content of note here is over in the PlayStation 3 section. You can kind of see how the PlayStation 3 started out. Well, the collection started out like this. This was the basic collection page I made back in 2011 with only Final Fantasy 13, Heavenly Sword, and Mortal Kombat Collector's Edition in it. And this was kind of the template I used for everything else. And of course, as you can see, all the images for the cover art became a lot larger. But yeah, that's basically the crazy big website update I did here. And yeah, the big takeaway is now you can view all of my 3D prints. And if you have any questions on 3D printing, or you have any comments about my 3D prints, just let me know. But yeah, this is the 127 full gallery view here. But yeah, that's going to be all for right now. This was actually a rather lengthy and talky video, just kind of going through the various sections of my current website, showing you how it's been updated. And yeah, this gallery section for the 3D prints I've been working on for the better part of a year now, but so I'm so glad that it's finally up. And periodically I will be updating it when I have new stuff to add to it. As I said, that behind the scenes section will probably get a lot more stuff in the future, because I have pictures of just about everything. And if you saw in the corner here, there's like some 3D prints and some paint. So I'm not stopping anytime soon. But that's going to kind of be all for this lengthy, talky video about the state of the Game Nexus website, which at the moment is hosted at GameNexus.rf.gd. The link is always in my profile here on YouTube. But yeah, that's going to be all for now. Take a look at the website and see what you think. Until next time, see you later. Bye.